Thank you very much. Honored to be here. I just come from the other panel in room 24. It is Women's Day tomorrow, and it is the Commission on the Status of Women that begins its conference in New York next Monday. So there's lots of challenges to be dealt with women. But having heard our friend talk about, shall we say, a grave omission in the last report of the rapporteur on Iran, it occurs to me that since human rights are interrelated, interdependent, and all of us, rapporteurs and former rapporteurs, we kind of overlap with our mandates. A good friend of mine, former president of the Human Rights Committee, Professor Fabian Salvioli, is a rapporteur on the right to truth, justice, and reparation. So he's someone who has a lot of experience being an Argentinian with commissions of truth. He has a lot of experience with the madres y las abuelas de Plaza de Mayo, so that it's someone who would have considerable sympathy with the families of those murdered in 1988. Now, I participated in earlier years when I was still rapporteur in some joint efforts that we rapporteurs undertook, including the rapporteur on summary and arbitrary executions. So the thing is, we must maintain the pressure. I mean, this is one of the major crimes in the second half of the 20th century, and it's kind of been put aside like, well, okay, fine, that's déjà vu. We don't have to talk about it. But the families are carrying the scars and will carry this trauma for the rest of their days. And this should not be allowed to enjoy impunity. Now, of course, these crimes were committed in 1988, long before the Statute of Rome was adopted, long before the International Criminal Court took on its functions in 2002. So that particular avenue is not accessible to you. On the other hand, there are ways of bringing it out in the public. My concern is that the mainstream media gives it very little attention. Mainstream media concentrates on the issue of Iran's nuclear program, et cetera, which is not per se a human rights issue. I mean, I'm far more concerned in the lives of those who have suffered the repression in Iran. I mean, for many years, we showed our solidarity with the 3,500 people in Camp Ashraf and later in Camp Liberty. And there again, I read your book, and also the disappointment when the United Nations fails, and it fails all too often, in not carrying out the right investigations and not publishing the right reports and not doing what we should be doing. It is a disappointment, but that doesn't mean that you're going to give up. And I must say, I'm happy to see how many you're in this room. You're about twice as many as in room 24. So there is interest in this subject matter, but it should not just be a side event. That has to have a reflection on the third floor. And I don't know whether this session is intending to adopt any resolution. And since I have now changed hats, I'm no longer rapporteur, but I represent actually 3 NGOs. So I'm an NGO person now. And I can't speak on behalf of all 3 of them. So if you need someone to put a statement on items 3, 4, 7, whatever, ask me. It would be my honor to read